Well, I was so thrilled to find out about it, of course, because it was great working with you all those, for those years, at the children's chorus. And the fact that you're back in this position, you know, I suppose I'm the interview to know, in your experience, how does Soli remain successful? What are the next steps for them? Like, how do you see yourself, um, what do you see yourself bringing into the organization? Because obviously, Ayrton had been with it a long time. He was also a player, so he was juggling those two things.
Sure. So my coming into this position certainly gives him the opportunity to just focus on being. He can just focus on being the violinist now, and really, focus on the creative side and the craft. And my taking on the administrative side allows them to fully grow the program in all aspects. I think what sets Soli apart is their absolute devotion to new music and new composers. They have over 100 commissions under their belt, and they've been around for 27 years. That speaks to, I think, the essence of their mission and who they are, in that they are always forging new ground ahead. So I think allowing the artists to focus on the art and providing support on the backside, as backbone support for administration, and will allow the organization to grow and to continue to do what they want to do, which, in this, they're creating, their repertoire, they're creating their program, they're creating their future. That's what they've always done, and they will continue to do that.
I wonder, I've been so pleased to see kind of how they've adapted to this really difficult situation that performing musicians have had. And this series that I know that we're going to be sort of attached to with this chat. How does something like that affect fundraising and affect sort of Soli's audience? I mean, is there any sense for how engaged, because they have a core audience? I mean, besides the extra stuff they do, there's, you go to those concerts and there's a really loyal group.
There is a tremendous core audience that follows Soli and what they do. And there's certainly people who are, devoted to the future of new music and the future of contemporary classical music in San Antonio. But I think this also provides an opportunity to round out that audience and really reach out to another layer of devoted fans, and develop those devoted fans, because the future of arts and the future of funding, everybody is facing the same question, and everybody is facing those same questions. And so this is an opportunity to explore what we can do, what we can get, where we can go with this. Being a small organization, they can certainly be agile and nimble, and perform in a variety of places, and perform in a variety of situations that a larger group would not be as easily equipped or nimble to do. So with 4 players or 3 players, depending on the instrumentation of a particular piece, they're able to take that and put that in a new venue, or put that in a new setting, and make a new opportunity out of it. They've got a lot of
it's a real
exciting things coming in the pike for this season, and also already for next season. They were just announced as one of the recipients of the 2020 Chamber Music America commissioning grant program. So that's
right.
Really exciting. That's for 21-22. So, there's already, just incredible new energy in the pipeline for the next year or two. So, the train is going
that'll be
on tracks, and we're on it. So, this summer series that they've been doing is a great opportunity to explore some of the ways that they, configure themselves differently, and how they can easily adapt to a changing environment. But it's also an opportunity to look back on just some of the great accomplishments and achievements that they have. One of which is the Ballads thing, which is why we're here today.
Right.
Chatting.
Right.
So
absolutely.
that was such a great um, community collaboration. And it brought together such incredibly disparate forces in such a wonderful way. I wonder if you want to reminisce a little bit about that.
Oh yeah. Well, I suppose that experience. If we look at sort of 2020 is the year where we're going to look at in our lifetimes that everything changed. I think in the concert music world, which is the world we're connected to, but so many of them. I think personally, as an artist, I think in some ways, 2017, the year that this all came together, this premiere of Ballads of the Borderland, was, I think, things really changed professionally for me in the sense that to be on a project that had so much, in the business world they would say buy-in, but really it's investment, another business term, but really there were a lot of interested parties, people that had a creative voice in this. I mean, it was your organization at the time, the Children's Chorus of San Antonio, Soli. We had, of course, members of the San Antonio Chamber Choir, Tynan Davis, who was an alum of the Children's Chorus, and then, of course, the city and the various organizations that provided space for us, the beautiful St. Mark's downtown, and then, of course, the Tricentennial Commission. There were all these people that came in. And then, of course, I think what was so moving for me was being able to have a hand in the stories that got shared through that, and seeing members of the community come. And although they were represented in these four different voices, those voices really represent other entire communities. And so I don't think I can ever go back again. I mean, I see creative compositional work now as a function of, community engagement seems to be part of it.
Yeah.
For me, and it's hard to leave that and just kind of go back into the the tower and just quietly compose works that nobody hears. You want to be a part of something broader.
I love, in particular, I recall when we were conceiving of that, and when you were putting it together, when you were creating the work, in particular, your story around that was the genus for the metallurgist Scherzo, um, and you,
Yeah.
Alejandro
Oh,
Cifuentes.
Alejandro. Yeah, phenomenal. And so, of course, um, Alejandro is very widely known in San Antonio, of course. He has his workshop there in La Villita where he's a metallurgist and a jeweler. And of course, if you're in the metals and precious metals and jewelry world, he's well known, beyond San Antonio. But I got to meet Alejandro through my wife, my wife is an Ayurvedic practitioner. And so Alejandro is also an Ayurvedist. So he was one of the first people she met when we moved here. He came up to our house and for an appointment, and they hit it off. And knowing a little bit about him, I knew I wanted him to be a part of it, like his story. So I went into his workshop and just got to ask him about his life. And what I was so fascinated with learning about was how he works with, his work with fire, and so we're in this workshop and he's got these blow torches around, but it's like in like micro, like really small blow torches. And then just telling his story about learning to really express himself through his craft. And so the Metallurgist Scherzo is a piece that I was really excited to write because, well, at first I tried to create, well, can I turn his interview into something texted that the choirs are going to sing? And I just thought that some of the interviews led themselves to that, but this one was so colorful in terms of like, so I use this kind of minimalist texture. I use this idea of a repeated motive that rotates, and it's shifting metric emphasis. So it's kind of like the visual analog would be like looking at an object and then rotating it so that it catches the light differently. And so it was kind of like you pick up a diamond and you change the perspective. And so that's kind of what happens in the material. And I think that was the genesis of the Metallurgist Scherzo was light and perspective and fire.
Yeah, it's such an incredible movement within the context of the larger piece. And it always does catch me anew every time I hear it when we go back to the work. And it is true. Every time I hear it, I find something new and find something different to observe or to take in and appreciate about that piece.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such an incredible movement.